Welcome to this Rounds Table edition of Awake at the Wheel. So, today we're going to be talking about a question that we received from one of our listeners, and a question posed that really had me pondering, and I'm sure Oren as well, about, what's the difference? And I should preface with this was in response to our podcast, Words Have Meaning. We talked a lot about words being taken out of context, words being weaponized. But in a previous podcast, we talked about the word crazy and how, using a word like crazy isn't a big deal. So I think this warrants some discussion as far as us clarifying why one is okay, why one isn't, and what the difference is.
Right. And it was my mistake for not clarifying in the Words Have Meaning episode about crazy. I know I talked about it in an earlier episode, but I didn't say then because we'd used the word crazy.
Right.
And I always tell my students and my patients, this is the word that we're not going to ever eradicate from the English language, right? At least not in our generations right now.
Yeah.
It's used so loosely. It's used in children's programming. It's used in songs. It's used very lightly, basically, in many ways. But on the other hand, it does stigmatize people with mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, and this is what I tell everybody, if it's not ever going to be gone, you can't be afraid. You can't be vulnerable to a word that's going to be all around you. That's like being allergic to air. So I think that, but again, it would be helpful if we had mentioned in the episode that we're using crazy, but we're doing it because we're trying to inoculate people to this term or against it. We don't want people to be harmed by words. And some words, they are harmful. They have a long history.
Yeah.
And crazy, yes, crazy has harmed many people. It has made people feel less than, right? And different from. But the fact is, again, if it's always going to be there, we need to help people adapt to it, to be strong and to own it, to say, take it as their own word and go, yeah, I'm crazy. So what? So are you. And so is he and she and everyone else.
Yeah.
We're all crazy in some way. And so if we say it enough times, if we use that in a non-hateful way, almost a generic way, we are robbing it of its ugly power. And that's my intention.
Yeah, and I think that perhaps the question came from a bit of confusion as well. And my stance on this, in addition to what you've said there, is I think the origin of the word is really important because crazy has never been a clinical term, whereas something like racist has historically generally meant the same thing across time. And I think the confusion lies with, why are we okay with, letting people take ownership of this one word crazy because of, all the things that you just said, but not the word racist.
Right. Well, the thing is, the irony is that people are using racist in a very self-serving way and they're weaponizing it. Yeah. And we're trying to do the opposite with crazy. We're trying to make sure it's not weaponized. Again, we're trying to make it so generic that it means nothing. That's what we're trying to do. But we don't want a word like racist to lose its meaning because we need to identify racism. We need to be able to identify racists. We need to be, but again, with the weaponization of it, now it's lost all meaning. Because if you disagree with me, you're a racist. Yeah. Right. So I consider these two very, very different terms. And I believe that the usage of them, especially more recently, have very different pathways. And that's why we're treating them differently.
So how do folks discern then which words are okay to use and which words are not okay to use without us getting into and rehashing what we spoke about before with a word like crazy versus racist?
Well, I would say to be mindful of the people that you're around. Like if I just recklessly said, within a hospital setting, crazy, right? Then it could be very hurtful and it could be like offensive. If, however, I use that term with the explanation, then I think it can be productive. Yeah. So I think it's like know your audience, know the location. And again, I know our audience, but I did not, I assumed that they would remember, hey, from the first episode, we talked about it, right? And that was, let's say, arrogant of me or, maybe hubristic of me to think that. So that's on me for not having clarified it.
So simply context is everything.
Context, audience, intent. Yeah. Right? The intent also is very important as well, right? Again, we weren't trying to use crazy recklessly. I was reckless and not mentioning my old beliefs about it, but that's the whole point. Intent is a big part of it as well. Okay, so until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel.